Hello, I'm Matthew from LumexWatches, and we're doing a video today on a Hamilton Estoril, a really nifty watch. Um, this is, you can look at the pictures enclosed with this. This watch really just screams 1960s. It's a beautiful, very cool watch. It's been in my collection for quite some time now. I've worn it probably 20 or 30 times. So what's interesting about this watch? Well, Hamilton, as you probably know, was a company based in my backyard in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, only about an hour's drive away from where I live. And as such, I've always been interested in Hamilton. And as a matter of fact, there are certain people who call Hamilton the Patek of the United States. Now, I'm not going to put them on par with pure horological quality with Patek, but at the time, they were making some really quality stuff. And this watch is not one of those watches that they made in Pennsylvania. As Hamilton grew, and it decided it was going to become a world watchmaker and no longer just a Pennsylvania watchmaker, it decided that its first step would be to kind of set foot in that most challenging of markets, the Swiss market. So what did Hamilton do? It bought themselves a factory in Switzerland. The name escapes me, I'll put it in the notes. They bought a small existing manufacturer and began making some watches in Switzerland catered to the Swiss market. And this is one of those. When Hamilton made this watch, the Lancaster, Pennsylvania was still very much in business and was still going strong. And however, this was really made to cater to the European market. So let's have a look here. We have a Hamilton Estoril. It is a gold-plated watch. Interesting note about that, there was certainly a time in my collecting career when I would not touch things that were gold-plated. Gold-plated was sort of like the, as I think Archie Luxury called it, the Antichrist of metals. And I don't go out of my way to love gold-plated pieces. And in most cases, I would prefer stainless steel. I would almost always prefer pure gold. However, pure gold is not always a practical metal to use in pieces, and gold coloring is very nice. And if the plating is done very well, and if it's done to a high quality, I think it really can be a useful material in watches. We've all seen pieces where the plating has flaked or come off or has worn through. This is not one of those. So this is a gold-plated piece, but with a solid stainless steel back. The plating, and please take a look at the pictures. The plating is very thick, and the way the case is built, the case is in three parts. So you have the top case, a middle case, and a bottom case. It's very slick, and then the case back. I believe this is the original crystal. It is clean. I believe it's an acrylic crystal. We have the Hamilton logo on the crown, signed there. Also on the back of the watch, we have this very cool emblem on the back where you have the Hamilton logo, a little wave-like feature, and the number 300. I believe that's because it's using the 300 movement. On the text around the kind of the interior back bezel here, it says waterproof, stainless steel back. It has a reference number, which I believe is 64003-4, and it says shock protected. Now, I'm actually taking this video in a hotel room. I'm trying to get, as many of you know, I travel for a living. I'm often doing business in strange cities. I'm in Washington, D.C. today, and thought I would knock off some videos. So my apologies if the video quality is a little bit below that, which you usually have here on the channel. But, oh, by the way, wrist check. I'm wearing a Seiko chronograph. I'm going to be doing a video about that as well. Anyway, back to the Hamilton Estoril. So let's do a quick function check on this watch. 3 hands, hour, minute, and second. The dial has raised gold markers. I believe those to be solid gold. Turning the crown winds the movement, winds the automatic movement. It winds very smoothly. I can hear the rotor move as I turn this way. Turning left produces a crisp click. And then in the outward position, of course, we wind, I set the time. The way the quick set date works on this, I have the correct date here. It is the 14th. But if you go around past midnight, it jumps to the 15th. And by the way, it's a nice jump. It jumps all at once. And then you set back to 20 of the hour. And then it pops to 16. So you can move it. It's not quite as convenient as what I would call a full quick set, where you can set the date using only the rotation of the crown. But it doesn't take very long at all to move an appreciable number of days. It's not hacking. The watch does not hack when I do this, and nor does it use what I would call sort of the pseudo hack, where you can kind of push the movement in reverse with a little bit of pressure and stop the movement. That works on many watches, and I found that there's no real correlation to how good the quality of the movement is versus whether or not that trick for stopping a non-hacking movement works properly. Some very nice watches do it, and some very nice watches do not do it. Likewise, some very cheap watches will function that way, and some very expensive watches will function that way. So again, everything's very clean and crisp. The hands have no corrosion. The dial is extremely clean. Because this was in my personal collection, it's been very well cleaned and taken care of. There is absolutely no rubbing through on the back or the sides. It's presented on a black strap, a black leather strap. I don't believe there's a brand name on here. It's genuine leather, so that's better than the fake leather. But again, this was something that I wore, and like all watches that were actually in my wearing collection, it was treated to a very high quality strap that I put quite a bit of thought into matching to the piece. I find actually one of the great joys of owning watches is making that selection and trying to figure out which strap goes best onto a new watch. And in fact, whenever I receive a piece in the mail or buy one at auction, it's one of the great joys to examine it, to look at it, and to find the right strap. And sometimes I'll go through 3 or 4 before I find one that really makes it pop. In this case, you have gold with the black. I think gold and black is a classic combination. I have a huge surplus of buckles in my workshop, and so especially if I'm going with a traditional 2-piece strap, I will often then select the buckle that I think best works. If I'm not lucky enough to have an original buckle. This is a non-original buckle to the piece, but it does work very well on this strap. This is an 18 mil strap, so it's a very nice wide size. And overall, the watch wears as a, I pop off the Seiko here, as a very wearable piece. I find it keeps time within a few minutes a day. When I sell watches online, I usually guarantee that they run, not that they are timed accurately. In the case of this piece, I'll definitely guarantee that it runs within a couple of minutes a day. It's a strong, strong timekeeper. So that's about it. Please look at the pictures. Email me if you have any questions. It's just a really neat piece. Because I am in a hotel room right now, I do not have the tools with me here on the road to take off this case back, or I would show you some pictures of the movement. Before I list this for sale, I will have some pictures of the movement, and normally that is a part of all of these videos, but again, I'm in Washington, and the worst thing, the absolute worst thing you can do is to hack up a case back by trying to open it with the wrong tools. So I will spare both the watch and you, the audience, from having to see any scratches put on this case back, which is otherwise in lovely condition. All right, so that's it for today. Enjoy your watches.